Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Star Trekking with Nerdy Up North. I am one of your hosts, Captain Goodwill, and I am joined as ever by my delectable, delicious science officer, Synoiz. Hello, sir.
You've had your Ouija mix today.
Yes, I have. Yes.
You've got a salute as well. Where did that come from?
Well, I was going to do this, but I thought...
Yeah, I was gonna say it needs to be the Rimmer salute.
Yeah, there we go. And then just start like doing all that, and then smack my ass at the end of it. Yeah, yeah. How are you?
I love how that just evolved over time. Like how you can tell that the Rimmer salute started off small, and then by the time we actually first see him, you're like, no, now you've gone full twat.
How are you, Simon?
Yes, hello. I'm doing all right. No, this week's going really well because I have nothing. I'm quite good. My Eurovision party on Saturday went really well. On Sunday, I need to tell you about. But I'll tell you on the actual thing. But on Sunday, I was in Anik doing things for the Mr. Gay Great Britain 2023 competition and the MX Drag Great Britain competition. And then basically I've effectively had the first week in a long while being like, I have nothing on. The next gig is like middle of June, I think. So it's quite great. And it meant that I was able to be like, oh, I can actually go to the gym. I can actually sit down and focus on this other thing. I can do this. And it's just been really nice. Obviously, I've managed to ruin it by being like, hey, let's record this. And hey.
No, what do you mean record? We are live.
Like this whole thing of I've got all this free time. Yay! Let's do it. And then doing the Monsters podcast with Sammy for Monsters Up North.
Yes.
Yeah, where we did the Wolfman.
Yes.
And I'm just very happy with it. But it's really good. But the crazy thing is that when I was in Anik for Mr. Gay Great Britain, the actual organizer of that and the former winner of Mr. Gay World, I think it is, or England, Stuart Hatton Jr., it turns out, after I was interviewing everyone and we were just chatting at the end of the day kind of thing, it turns out that not only him, but the entire production crew were massive Trekkies. Yeah, and they were just like, and we just started talking about Trek, and we started talking about DS9, and then I mentioned this, and then they were just like, you do a Star Trek podcast, oh my God, we have to come on this and stuff. And I was like, yeah, totally.
Absolutely. That's going to be epic.
But it's just crazy. It is. And then obviously we're talking about like the final of the competition, because this was like a press day where all the press come in and we do the interviews and stuff. But like the actual final of the competition's in August. And he was saying that Sean Ferrick's going to be there because obviously, and I'm just like, this is nuts. Like,
the world is so small. It is so incredibly small.
That's like a quote from Janeway in this very episode where she's talking about when the universe felt so small.
Yes.
And it's very much like, yeah, that's just a crazy coincidence. But apparently Stuart's been on he's been on the Trek cruise that they did and stuff. And he's been involved in the Gays in Space thing for a bit.
Gays in Space!
Yeah, and it's just crazy small world. But yeah,
it is. It really is.
I'm doing well.
That's fantastic. I'm doing spiffingly. I think I'm still reeling from our wonderful interview with Sean Ferrick that premiered last Friday. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out. Go watch it.
Stop this.
Stop this. Go watch that. Absolutely love that dude to bits. But it's crazy to think that how small the world really is, where what you do outside of this has suddenly been dragged in to this world. Dragged. Yeah. Oh God, I'm punning involuntarily. Martha, get the cloth. I'm punning. It's
gonna take a fucking mop there.
But it's. I also have a similar experience because I was talking to good Lord, who was I talking to? I believe it was a lovely little podcaster called Sohail, who does a Starfleet Boy podcast. Now, he's all the way in the United States of them Americas. And through...
them
dar colonies. And by proxy, like, another Twitter user was commenting, and then we got talking, and then he lives in Middlesbrough, 6 miles away from me. And it's like, of all the weirdest things that, hello, I'm talking to a man in California, Oh,
Yeah.
you're talking to a man in California. Oh, you're a smoggy. And it's like,
That's
what?
weird.
It blew my mind because he said to me, he was like, dude, you literally live about 5 miles away from me. And I was like,
I love that the northeast of England is for some reason Trekkie central. I'm like, and yet we don't have any conventions.
it's almost
We're
like
like,
there was a great purge and all the Trekkies fled north into
they're just
hiding.
like,
You know, it's
it's
like
like the Jedi
Obi-Wan.
after Order 66.
Yeah, it's Obi-Wan with comm badges and tricorders instead of lightsabers. But it was so weird because it was like, oh my god, it's just like, yeah, he's like, I'm from Middlesbrough and you're from Redcar. And I'm just like, yeah. And I was like, oh, wow. And it shows how small the world is in
Mm.
reality. Like 6 degrees of separation, I fully believe that is a thing.
We've only needed two.
Well, 2 degrees of separation. We just needed Paul, the intermediary.
That's it.
You know, how did you know?
Although
How did
should
you
we?
eat? Go on.
That's it. What have you eaten this week? I don't know. It actually feels kind of weird. Like it's like it feels like I haven't been on an actual Nerdy Up North podcast for ages. But then it's just because of how busy everything's been. Because in reality,
Yes.
I was on the Buffy one like a fortnight ago or something.
You have been
It's just like, oh, it feels like forever ago, and I'm just like, oh god.
you have been you are a very busy person. We that is the running theme for you. Like, how do you sleep? I'm getting that way. You don't, yeah. I'm getting that
Yeah.
way because this week, this obviously premieres at 7:30 on a Friday when you guys are watching it. We're recording it on a Wednesday.
I could just
Um,
say though that the reason why it's premiering on a Friday is because I'm too busy. So it's this idea of like us being really stupid, and it was me. I remember it was in the conversation. It was me being like, "No, no, we should definitely do it every week on a Friday. That's the best day to put it out.
yeah, yeah,
That will totally not have any problems whatsoever." And then as soon as we've got into it, I'm like, "Not free this Friday. Not free.
yeah.
Not this one." You know, and I'm just like going, "Okay, cool."
But the
Sorry.
power of recording and excellent production quality. But no, like for you guys, hello everyone who's watching this on the premiere. We absolutely love you. In real life, when you're watching this, I'm most likely on a drip in some sort of intensive care ward because this I would have been up for about 24 hours because I on the Spectrum Sanctorum channel, I am a guest on their series The Agony Booth,
Hmm.
where I am going to be joining in on reviewing the season 1 episode Haven from the Next Generation with
Which one
Loxana
which one
Troy.
is it the first Troy episode?
Yes.
Because I remember is this might be really daft because I saw the thumbnail for it, you know, because the event appeared and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, interested, but I'm not going to be watching that live because it's 2 a.m. and I'll be in a forest. Thank you, Goodwill. You know, I will literally be in a forest at this point, so I will not be watching it. But I'm interested. But
He
it's
is the Slender Man.
but it's the picture of like the thumbnail and the guy in it. I don't remember this episode at all.
It's where
And
they
then
organise a wedding for Troy.
oh, and she wants to marry. Oh, and the two kids
Yeah.
want to marry.
Yeah, that's the
But
one.
he's actually not in love with her. He's in love with
Yep.
someone else or something.
Yep, correct,
Yeah.
Armando.
But isn't the sorry? Okay, I do remember it, but I just needed a prompt. But the guy in it though, is that the person who's in DS9 where he's like meant to be Jadzia is meant to be training him?
Yes, I
It
believe
is okay,
so.
cool. Because I looked at him, and was like that looks really similar to that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like trying to say, "Hey, you're not ready to be joined," kind of thing. Or
Yeah. So I will.
okay.
So I will be on Spectrum Sanctorum's video. I will put a link in the description below so you can go and watch that straight after this video as I order you because I am the captain. And then also on Sunday, I am joining the podcast team to talk about Futurama. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But like I said, we'll do all the promos at the end of the video. We are here to discuss a certain episode that the dabble wheel of episodes doled out so long ago because it was 2 weeks ago, and then Sean was like, "I'm available," and I was like, "Haha, my
I hope
pants!"
no one was waiting for this. I hope no one was
Yes.
like sitting on 10 hooks for
Shall
it.
we have a flashback for flashback? But
I also love that we had an extra week to do it because of Sean coming on, and we
Yeah.
still watched it today. We still waited till the
So
last
it's
possible
fresh in
minute
our
before we
memory.
watching it.
It's fresh in our memory. That's how you do. That's how you run things in TV and the internet. Shh. That's some insider
I'm
tips
ruining
for
the
you.
magic.
You're ruining the magic. The BBC will find me.
I like that we're an hour into this and we haven't even got to the
Oh
episode
no,
yet.
no, it's only 11 minutes. It's fine.
Is it only 11? Okay, that's
Yes,
all right.
we talked for an hour beforehand because we were just like,
Oh, yeah, we're
hi.
talking about everything.
Yes, we do. But yeah, guys, so we are here to discuss Star Trek Voyager's Season 3, Episode 2, Episode 2,
Series
Flash...
2. No, Series
no,
3.
what? Oh, God, it's gone wrong. We are here... We are here to discuss Star Trek Voyager Season 3, Episode 2, Flashback. This is Voyager's tribute to the 30th anniversary of Star Trek, all the way back in 1996. But the episode opens with the mess hall, and
I just want to say how lucky we are with this. Like, how lucky we've been with the Dabo Wheel of Trek.
oh God, yes,
When I just watched it like a couple of hours ago and just being like, this is amazing. This is an
Yes.
amazing episode. And all of the ones that the Dabo Wheel has given us so far, praise the Dabo gods.
praise thee to Lita.
Yeah, praise be to the goddess Lita.
Spin the wheel and win. Anyway, go on.
Oh, no, imagine if it was Kai Wynn. You're like, what?
No, Space Karen.
I love that Sean called her Space Karen as well.
Hello, my
But,
child. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, anyway, but no, this is an absolutely phenomenal episode.
Yes.
And obviously, it's. I think this first scene, I'll let you do it. So actually,
Well, I mean, the clue was in the opening of our very own episode where the lovely Adam Ashbridge has recorded an absolute banger of a cover of Star Trek Voyager. Everything for him is also in the description below as well, guys. This was probably the highlight for me for Star Trek Voyager, and sort of like turned, because when I was young I couldn't really get into Voyager for the first couple of seasons, and then this came on and I was like, oh, it's Sulu, and I was like, oh, cool, this can actually be cool. So I got into it a lot more before everyone else did with Seven of Nine and the Borg and stuff. But watching this, yeah, really timely for us because it is another Picard callback, because this is a Tuvok centric episode.
Yeah.
So again, we've had Moriarty, we've had Law.
It's not necessarily that it's Tuvok, because obviously he's part of the main cast of Voyager.
Yes.
But it's the idea of, yes, it is a Tuvok-centric episode.
Yes.
But it's also the Excelsior.
Yes.
Which we have in Picard Season 3, don't we? Yeah, it's over there.
We have the newer version that Nolan North, like Nathan Drake, dies on. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also have the Excelsior as well. The shelf of mild bankruptcy. So yeah, so the show opens. We've got mess hall. Tuvok is trying one of Neelix's cocktails, which, what a brave.
I don't even think it's a cocktail. I think it's literally just Neelix trying to make juice, but because like Neelix is the chef equivalent of Beverly Crusher being a doctor, it's just the idea that they need some. All I'm saying is she's a better, she's better at tactical than she is at medbay.
Oh damn! She's better at killing.
Yeah, that's it. She's better at murder. But this whole scene, I mean, I'm gonna be really mean, okay? But this episode is so brilliant because we only have the best actors on Voyager involved.
Yes.
And it's very much like a Tim Russ tour de force of him just being one of the best actors in all of Trek.
Yes.
And he's so good. It's just really insane. But then obviously what they do is they have Neelix at the beginning in that DS9 way of, cool, he won't be in the rest of the episode then. Great,
he's got his
paycheck
paycheck
at the beginning, and then okay, cool. Well, he's shown up now. We don't need him.
Ethan
anymore.
Phillips got his $7,500, and now he's on his way home.
Yeah, it's that thing. It's but it's the idea of, this is one of the best things about Voyager, is this awful relationship that Neelix and Tuvok have,
Mr.
where
Vulcan.
it's not even slightly amiable, and it's
Yeah.
equivalent of like Odo and Quark in like I don't know. I think it's even
No,
less
yeah, it's even less than
amiable than
that.
Odo and
Odo,
Quark in
Odo,
DS9.
Odo and Quark, the love was there.
Yeah, there is a relationship there, but this is just
This
literally
is
just Tuvok
one-sided.
despising
Yeah,
Neelix.
like Tuvok is the equivalent of leaving someone on red when it comes to the conversation. Like Neelix is like, "Hello, Mr. Vulcan," and Tuvok's like, "Blue tick," and that's
Yeah, that's
it.
it.
Yeah, so
But it is.
it's even less
I mean,
than Odo and Quark.
to be honest, it's really odd. It's really odd that, like, were they? Do you reckon with Neelix they were trying for another Quark? Like, because the fact is, like, even his outfit, like, one of the notes I've got here is how hideous it literally looks like they've made
Curtains,
Neelix's outfit, where he's got this. It looks like all of Neelix's outfits are made out of, like, I don't know, like
curtains.
shower curtains from B&M Bargains or something. And he's just going, like, what is,
These
like,
are mid-90s Kate catalogue curtains. That is what they were made from.
is it
He's wearing
genuine?
black. No, of course
I don't
not.
know. I genuinely, I thought it was you dropping truth bombs or like behind the scenes stuff. But I'm willing to believe this because of how hideous they are. But I love the idea that all of the other cast they have like the same uniforms on and stuff,
Yeah,
and then the poor costume designers just give me another Quark. Just give me
yeah.
another Quark where I can just design them random suits in horrible fabrics, and that'll be like my hobby every week.
Yeah, it was sort of we have this Neelix, what could we put him in? Oh, let's make him the morale officer and cook. Okay, cool. What are we gonna do with it? Nothing. Okay. But
Yeah, it's like the idea of like they go, okay, cool. It made sense to start with in
yeah.
season one where they were trying to get on their feet. They didn't have the energy. They couldn't use the replicators and stuff. They're like, cool, we'll have a hydroponics bay, and then
Yeah.
we'll have Neelix being a chef. And then in season three, you're like, why is he still doing this? Like,
Yeah,
I
why
know
is he
it's
making bad
out of.
food?
I know it's because they, is it later they give him a shot at being a morale officer and then everyone just kills themselves? I don't know if that was an episode, but I'm pretty
Wow.
sure it happened. But it's just this idea of just everyone has thrown themselves into deep space. Uh,
Well, I mean, would you consider him to be the little chef of Starfleet? Overpriced and bad.
no, no, let's not slag Little Chef off. Little Chef is just,
May it rest
although
in
to be fair,
peace.
I probably, yeah, I remember there's a Little Chef near where I lived when I was a kid growing up. And it was a treat. It was like, oh, it was a big treat. Mum and Dad would
Yeah.
take us there. And we didn't realize it was next to a full pylon. It was next to a full electrical pylon. And when you're in the car park, you could just hear the buzz.
So how has the
It's
ringing
just
in
like,
your ears progressed over time? Are you
I
all
know,
right?
it's this idea of having these pancakes are nice and possibly radioactive. But yeah,
But
but
yeah,
no, but
so
and still better than Neelix food.
yeah,
Um,
so he's trying to make Tuvok's breakfast with the eggs. The hot plate. I'm just going to call it a hot plate.
Yeah,
Catches
we have
fire.
the line. I would prefer not to hear the life history of my breakfast from
Yes,
Tuvok, which is a fucking zinger.
I absolutely love that. But then they both get called to the bridge. This is Stardate 50126.4, which is still canonical from Encounter at Farpoint. So we are doing well because this would have been season 10. So it's 5-0, so it's absolutely
Yeah.
fine. Voyager has detected a gaseous anomaly containing ceruleum, a highly combustible energy source, and they are investigating, which is good. So Janeway basically wants to use this because this is a good catalyst for warp plasma, for ignite, for creating warp plasma, basically.
Well, according to Balana and Tuvok, it's useful for everything.
It is.
And Neelix's like, I can cook my bloody oven with this. And it's like, yes, cool.
It's
Just
the
we'll use the
WD-40.
replicators.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's the WD-40 of gaseous anomalies. So Janeway basically says, look, Neelix, we need to use your hydroponic store, your pantry, to store all this. But then in the background we see
This is
Tuvok.
like where you try and shove someone out, where you try and sort of just be like, oh, what a shame. Well, we don't like
Oh,
it's like
your
in
avocados.
in Office Space or whatever, where they get the guy and they just slowly move him into the basement and they just slowly take all of his stuff away. And it's because he's been fired. he hasn't taken any notice. He keeps turning up, and they're like, "Let's just move you into a corner and forget
Oh,
about you." And I'm
oh,
just
I've
like, "This is
been
what
there.
Janeway's doing to Neelix.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna need that space. Oh no, you'll have to close your shitty little kitchen down. Oh, what a shame."
Constructive dismissal in space. But yeah,
I'm so nasty to Neelix,
you really
but
are.
it's just
Wow. I think you're jealous. But no,
I
seriously.
think I think it's the idea of like I Ethan Phillips is really really good.
I've met him.
Neelix
He's wonderful.
really annoys me, you know.
Yeah.
And Ethan does the best job anyone could possibly do with the character, but it just like we were saying to Sean, I don't get how Neelix survived the cut and Kess didn't. You know, like
But
where
she
you
had a
go like
shelf life. Let's be honest. Kess had a shelf life.
she had a shelf life of 4 years, but then obviously when they meet the psychic ones, they're just like, oh, we can actually extend that, and you're like, okay, well that's like Doctor Who's only got 12 regenerations, but that went
Oh,
out the
let's
window.
not go into the continuity of Doctor Who, shall we?
Days without continuity error, back to
Yes.
zero.
But yeah, so Daleks again. But yeah, so Tuvok in the background starts to feel strange. His hand starts to shake and he starts to feel dizzy and disorientated. So he gets relieved and he goes
The
to...
edibles have kicked in.
The edibles have kicked it. Those eggs.
Just like that's how he gets through Neelix.
That was not dillweed.
I genuinely, you know, it goes into why it actually happens, and I'm like, I'm wondering if this is just because he's had to like keep calm around Neelix for so long,
The shrooms
like,
have kicked in.
for like 3 years or something now, and he's just like,
He's starting to snap. That's what it was. So yeah. So he goes to sickbay. Ends
yeah.
up collapsing.
I love this sequence though, where he's stumbling around the ship.
Oh,
He
yes.
starts shaking. He gets in turbo lift, and he's like, and he starts having the hallucination of a little,
Yeah.
of him as a child trying to save a little girl from falling off
a cliff. Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, yeah.
And he doesn't know where it's from. But it's this whole scene of him stumbling around the ship and having these horrible like flashbacks. I just want to get this whole scene and then cut it with footage from Eurovision on Saturday. So it's literally just him stumbling around, going, and he just cuts to sort of like the finish entry, and then it's like this.
I could totally do that.
No,
You give me the
this
footage,
whole
I will
scene,
do
you
that.
could put anything into this scene and just have Tupac freaking out about it, like these horrendous memories that he's been through.
Making note for real. So yeah, we
But yeah,
see the
oh,
girl,
so
like
good.
he's trying to hold on to a girl who's on a precipice, and he can't hold on anymore, and this girl falls, and as she falls, he collapses on the deck of sickbay. And then in the next scene, we see that he's saying that he was holding on to a young girl and trying to prevent her from falling, but he couldn't help at all. But he has no memory of this. He has no recollection of this actually happening,
Yeah.
because the doctor says this is an emotional response to a repressed memory. But he's like, this never happened to me. I don't recall it. So the doctor tells Tuvok to return to duty, but will monitor your neural activity
Yeah.
with a device.
And obviously, like I was saying about the actors, the Doctor, like the
Oh,
Doctor is
come on,
so
yeah. Robert
he is
Picardo.
a tour de force. It's just this whole his lines here are so good. Like where he's talking about Tuvok being like, "Oh, in human terms, what you've what you suffered is like an extreme panic attack." And he's like, "But I'm not human." He's like, "No kidding." It's the way he delivers
The
lines.
bedside
It's the
manner
way-
is flawless. That's what it
so
is.
good. But it's this idea of like how good he is, and it's everything. Like this is an excellent Janeway episode. It's an excellent Kess episode. It's an excellent Tuvok episode. Harry Kim is in it. Neelix is in it. No, Harry Kim's great in it.
Ensign Kim, isn't it?
Sorry, Ensign.
Yes, sorry, Ensign. Know your role.
Isn't he a captain now? Shut up. That's not canon.
Lieutenant JG. So yeah, Tuvok goes back to his quarters and he's trying to build the
He
Cathero.
gets pissed off. He goes home. Plays
Builds
with his
Lego. He builds
Normal.
Lego. Yeah.
I'll get me Lego out. I've had a crap day at work. I'll get me Lego out.
But-
Oh, it's not working.
But well, Kess comes in and she wants to know how he is and what he's doing. So he explains that this is Cathero. Cathero. God.
Catharo.
Cathet Granville.
Yeah.
Tries to, because he's trying to build it using logic. It's logic meditation. That by this meditation he can make a structure from his mind with his hands. It's
Yeah.
not working. Kes comes in. He sort of gives her the cold shoulder because you can tell she's worried about him, and he's like, "I'm fine, just piss off." And it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, I like it though that like Kess is really good because it basically has her being like, it's okay, I understand. Because she's this wonderful heart character in
yes,
it. And yet she doesn't really, they don't I'm still
she's
annoyed that they don't do
underused.
enough with
Yeah,
Kess.
very
Yeah.
underused. I think
The descent you could have taken Kess on is so good. Like you could have just had her starting off from this point of being a good character and a caring character, and then if you'd actually run the full gamut to her being a villain by season 7 or something, would have just been perfect.
But I mean, the actress who played her also had
Yeah, she got her
behind the
tits out.
scenes.
She was on drugs. Who
Yeah.
hasn't been? Yeah,
Oh,
right. I get
preach,
my tits out all the time. I'll
preach.
get them out now. Oh,
Mine are out
you
now.
like
You just
that,
can't
don't
see
you?
under the uniform. The
That's how clothing works.
shh. But then we get the next scene, the next day, where it's Chakotay. There's a story of my people. Okay. And it's
Aren't you Southern American?
yeah. So it's you're Canadian, but it's there's yeah. So it's Chakotay and Tuvok. Chakotay's asking how he is. Says he's meditated for 14 hours. Again, very cold with Tuvok. Walking on the way to engineering. Meet Harry Kim in engineering, who says Ensign Kim. Sorry,
Yeah.
Basic Kim, who basically says that there's nothing coming from the nebula that could affect Tuvok or Voyager or anything. It's a standard Class 17 nebula, nothing unsurprising about it, so we don't understand what's going on. Tuvok then says, oh, well, best we do a sweep for cloaked Klingon ships. And then B'Elanna's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, they're on the other side of the galaxy. And then Tuvok starts tripping balls again because he's had Neelix's eggs. So he starts tripping balls again, collapses on the deck of engineering, back to sickbay. And then the Doctor thinks that they are dealing with a repressed memory because in Vulcans, a repressed memory can actually cause brain damage because of the amount of emotional suppression that Vulcans go through, that this can have an effect on their physiology. So what they need...
Which is crazy because this is what we have. Like the wonderful thing throughout Voyager is that we get to learn so much about Vulcans.
Yes.
In terms of just going how detrimental the Vulcan conditioning is. Like, the whole thing of going, hey, suppress all of your emotions and it'll make you a better person. And then all it seems to do is ruin them. Where you have stuff like the Ponfar being insane. You have stuff like I've forgotten the episode, but it's the one where Tuvok literally loses his mind. Again.
Endgame.
Is it Endgame where he loses his mind?
Well, he's got the syndrome because he's been too far.
Yeah.
He was separated too long from his family. Because the neurological disorder he had meant that he couldn't mind meld with a relation or someone of his family to eliminate it. So it set him down the path of senility. Like he was senile by the end of it.
That's not the one I meant, but I do mean like because we get a lot of stuff about Vulcans and the fact of this conditioning that they believe helps them. Doesn't like it actually does cause a lot of problems for them.
But I suppose with them though, with the Vulcans, as we learned from Star Trek Enterprise, there was a cultural shift around about the time of Enterprise because mind melding was never a thing at the time of Enterprise. It was shunned. It was not heard of.
So that's is that series 1 where they have that great episode about
where T'Pol is violated by the mind meld, but then it's so shunned and frowned upon. But then in season 4 they realise that it can be used for beneficial purposes, that it could it could retrieve a chakra, like as we saw in Search for Spock. We've got not chakra, it's Katra.
Oh yeah,
Katra. Yeah. So you've got Spock's.
I was just nodding. I was just like, chakra. Yeah.
But we see it in season 4 of Enterprise where the use of mind melds is suddenly they're understanding the positive aspects of having this mind meld and the neurological benefits they could reap for it. So if you think about it, it's only been a couple of 100 years, and with Vulcans' lifespans, obviously they're still learning about the benefits of this neurological therapy, as it was, of the mind meld.
Yeah.
So we do get and it's, I find it, subtracting Enterprise from it, you learn a lot about Vulcan culture and physiology from just one Vulcan halfway across the galaxy away from other Vulcans, which I think is absolutely, you learn more about the Pon Farr, you learn more about what we learn in this episode, and obviously throughout.
With this being a Tuvok episode, it's the idea of we've just got to give credit to the people who define their races in Trek. And with Vulcans, you literally have you have what is it? You have Spock, you have Tuvok, and you have T'Pol.
Yeah.
They are basically, what defines Vulcans. The same way that Armin Shimmerman makes Ferengi. Like he is.
Oh yeah, he's the definitive Ferengi.
Dukat makes Cardassians. It's like the idea of this wonderful thing.
Kai Wynn makes a definitive bitch.
Yeah,
but
Does she represent Bajorans?
She represents bitch.
Batch.
Yeah.
She's such a batch.
Some of the scenes with Kai Wynn where like she walks away with a sass and it's like, someone's a bitch and it's not Cisco and it's not Odo. And it's like, yeah.
I do love though, what's the episode where Kira literally just it's one of, I think it's season 7, it's right at the end, and it literally has like where Kai Wynn realizes that she's like been dealing with the Par Wraiths.
Yeah.
And spoilers. And well, I haven't watched it. It was 20 fucking years ago. Great.
25 years old, guys.
It's been on Netflix for about 7 now. But
I think it's past the 2-week rule.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, that idea of just like where Kira just kind of goes like, there's loads of opportunities where Kira just kind of goes like, yeah, you're a monster. Like you do not get what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And then obviously where she's like, oh, you finally know how to help. You can give up being Kai. And Kai was like, no, hang on. That's not what I meant,
Yeah, exactly. And, going back to Voyager, Tuvok, if you ask for a definitive portrayal of a Vulcan, most Trekkies will say Tuvok.
Yeah.
Because yes, you get great exposition with Spock all the way through, and we are still getting it with Strange New Worlds, which is fine. But
we get it with Spock, but not for long.
Yeah.
We only have like less than 40 episodes of the original series, and then the movies, pretty much, and the animated series that exists,
and the Kelvin verse and Strange New Worlds.
No.
But yeah. So a tangent. Going back to the scene, so they basically say that the mind literally lobotomizes itself if they are not able to bring this subconscious memory to the consciousness, so that the emotions can be dealt with, and that the whole traumatic memory can be addressed. It only has to be done with someone who is family. However, Tuvok's in the Delta Quadrant. His missus is probably sat watching Loose Women in Vulcan, 70,000 light years away.
I haven't seen my husband for 3 years.
Colleen Nolan is still going on. Yeah, Colleen Nolan's still there.
What is it? A hairnet on. She's got her hair in curlers.
Bloody Denise is still there. Tim Healy, what an absolute... All right, Denise. But it's... Yeah, so Janeway is asked to perform a mind meld to help bring this subconscious memory to bear.
Now, I love this, though. She gets picked because she is the closest to Tuvok as the whole crew, so it does make sense. But this continues the Star Trek, tradition of let's put very important people in unnecessary danger.
Have you done a Will
Catherine?
Catherine?
Where they just go this thing, okay, she's the captain of the ship. Let's put her into a dangerous mind meld. That'll be fine. It's the same way as in other things where they're just like, oh, yeah, it's just sort of... it's just like our Chief O'Brien. Let's just get him to pilot the ship, pilot the shuttle pod on a really dangerous mission. Anyone could do it, but no, it needs to be him. And you're like, what?
The greatest Starfleet officer who ever lived.
Let's just send Riker off to a random planet somewhere.
Well,
Riker's been kidnapped.
There's two of Riker. It's fine. There's two of them.
There's a backup Riker.
There is a backup. Yes, there is a. Oh God, poor women of the Alpha Quadrant. There was a backup Riker.
I've had both.
Yeah. Well, Okay. So they do the mind meld, trying to find this memory of when Tuvok was a boy, but oh my. They end up on the Excelsior and we see Sulu!
It's so good when you hear the first line and you're just like...
And he emerges out of the smoke as well, just for the added fantabulousness of it all.
I'm so annoyed, though, that shot doesn't linger. Like, can you imagine, that shot, because it does the whole thing where the fog goes, he's standing like that, and then it, like, fades to black for, like, American adverts or whatever. It should have lingered for longer, and then had him be like, oh my. It would have been so good. That must have happened on set. It must have been like...
Oh, God. He should have done it. He should have done it in the next scene with the tea, where he's like...
Yeah.
Oh my. And that's where it came from.
What is it? Good tea, nice house. But good tea,
nice house. Beheadings are on a Wednesday. So, yeah, we see Sulu on the Excelsior Bridge. Clearly, this is not the memory that they wanted.
A lot of turtlenecks. That shows you it was the past.
Monster Maroons. The Monster Maroons were out in force for this episode. God damn it. So clearly this is not the memory that they wanted. We see Commander Rand from the original series.
See, I was gonna, because I was like, I don't remember who she is. And I was like, but I know I should. And I was like, I'll wait till we're actually on the podcast, and then Goodwill will tell me who it is.
So this is a bit of backstory. So this is Yeoman Rand from the original series, Series 1 of Star Trek. Now, she was going to be portrayed as the love interest of Captain Kirk. Yeoman is basically... not an ensign. It's sort of like it's all styly version of cadet in training. Right, yeah. Like Wesley Crusher was a cadet in training. He had a field commission as a cadet. A yeoman is basically someone who is on board, who is essentially the tea maker for everyone. Right, they gain enough credit for them to go into Starfleet Academy and go into training.
Oh God, I just realised who it is. Yeah, in the first episode when they get captured by the big heads.
Yeah.
No. Is it?
That's the cage. That's the cage you're thinking of.
Oh yes.
No, she Yeoman Rand turned up with Kirk. She was only in a few episodes because sadly there was...
She's the one with the psychic kid though, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, she's the one that he's perving on, and like he teleports her away and stuff. Yeah, no, cool. So I just didn't know her name.
so Rand was in a few episodes, and then she sort of just disappeared, and it was because unfortunately there was really sad. But again, this is how seedy certain things were in the 60s. There was an element of harassment, shall we say, to keep it PC, to keep it TOS. TOS. There was an element of harassment behind the scenes, and the actress left the show. She was invited back for the movies. She came back in the motion picture because Gene wanted her back. This was sort of because there was a grand plan for Yeoman Rand, and they couldn't fulfill it. So to bring her back, they sort of honoured that character. So she came back, and then she was in a few of the movies. So she was in Star Trek 3, she was in Star Trek 4, and then obviously she was on the Excelsior, and then in this episode they gave her a full rank as Commander Rand. Yeah. So it was a great redemption for this character to be in this episode. So a bit of exposition from Tuvok, where he's like
until later, and then they just steal her clothes. But
well, yes, of course, yes.
They're like, "Hey, welcome back! Now knock you out."
But we do get a bit of exposition because they're in the midst of a battle. There is a dead body on the floor. Tuvok's going, "This is 80 years ago on the Excelsior. We are in the midst of a battle with the Klingons. In order to find out what's going on, we need to go further back." They end up going back 3 days prior, and then we see that they're in crew quarters. Commander Rand comes in for the gamma shift, and then we see Tuvok making tea for the captain. Captain Starbucks over here making the Vulcan blend of tea, and he's like, oh, and Rand's going, oh well, you're gonna outrank me soon, son, if you're gonna keep arse licking the captain. He's like, I'm not doing it for that. I'm definitely not doing it for that.
I love how it's genuine as well. It's
It really
genuinely
is.
Tuvok just being like, I
I
just
want to
felt
be
like doing
nice.
this.
Yeah. I saw that he drinks tea. I want him to enjoy this version of tea.
Yeah.
And it's like,
although I love Janeway just being like,
yes.
you never brought me tea.
Oh, the side eye that she given.
You drink coffee. You drink coffee.
But the side eye, she's like, you never brought me tea. And then walks away.
It's so good. Like, it's loads of little bits of Janeway being like that throughout this episode are just the whole... You watch it and you're like, thank fuck. Was it Genevieve? Like, left and didn't want to do the role? Like, the actress who was meant to be Janeway? Was it Genevieve?
It was...
it's just that idea of I've forgotten the name, but it was the idea of, like... would Voyager be anywhere near as good as it is without, like,
original Janeway actress was, oh good God, Genevieve Bujold. Bujold, Bujold.
That's a high score in Scrabble. Let's leave
it really is. So, but she was the another fun fact for you, non-Trekkie. We had an original Janeway who was she was an award-winning actress as well at the time.
She was an amazing actress, but that doesn't mean she's necessarily brilliant in the role.
She bagged the role of Janeway, but lasted 3 days on set. They'd done all the costume fittings and everything like that, recorded loads of scenes. She lasted 3 days. She broke down in the trailer. She realised that this was not for her. And it's more the case, guys, of television in the 90s. That was your life. Working in Hollywood at those times, that was you had nothing outside of that production. So for actors, as people who watch this who are actors will know, there is a lot of sitting about.
Yeah.
Where
that's acting.
That is acting. It's sitting around.
We need to reset the cameras. We need to set up a bloody that little train thing so they can get a
So production days before regulation came in would be between 14 to 21 hours a day. And Genevieve had obviously been in movies where this is different and everything is everything is a little bit better, but she quickly realised after a few days, I cannot do this for 26 episodes for 7 years, because Paramount at the time, the contracts were 7 years. Next Generation, yes, they didn't think it would go past the first season, but the goal was 7 years. DS9, 7 years. Voyager, 7 years. Yeah. So their contracts were basically, you signed a contract before you auditioned to say, if you get the role, you are doing this for 7 years, 26 episodes, salary negotiable afterwards, blah, blah, blah.
And we've seen how difficult it is to get out of that contract with what happened with
Terry Farrell. Yeah. So she pulled out. Kate Mulgrew, who was arguably the original choice, was brought in. Yeah, it depends who you speak to. Some wanted Kate Mulgrew, some wanted Genevieve.
Yeah.
It's arguable. It's debatable. So Kate Mulgrew came in, and obviously they had to reshoot certain scenes, but as you see on screen, she is, if you look at the Genevieve Janeway and Mulgrew's Janeway for Mulgrew is a better fit with everyone.
Yeah, like Genevieve tends to be colder. Like in the scenes, she tends to be, and it's a thing of when it's like, I think there's a scene between her and Tuvok or something. Yeah. And I remember just being like, this is literally like two walls talking to each other.
It's very cold and very Vulcan.
and Janeway, like, what is it? The Janeway we got, she is cold, but not. There's so much
She
nuance to
warms
the
over
coldness.
time though, whereas I
Well,
think Genevieve
like,
was.
it's the fact that she's strict. She's like like Janeway is literally the strict headmistress, but who does have a heart of gold under it. But she's
Yeah.
got a job to do, and that's exactly what the character is meant to be. Like, and that's how Kate Mulgrew plays her, and it's so. Sorry,
It's
I'm
no,
having a
no,
fangasm about
no.
Janeway.
Tangents are what we are known for, and tangents are what we are going to provide. So yeah, so it's a little bit of a Trek fact for you there if you didn't really know there was an
Sorry,
original
I
Janeway.
derailed
No,
everything
don't
again.
be
Sorry,
sorry.
guys.
Don't be sorry. But yeah, so they go back to 3 days. Tuvok's on the bridge, and we see the Excelsior Cup, which everyone who was a hardcore fan wanted this teacup.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, that's an excellent blend. I'll have to promote you." And he's like, "I didn't do this for promotion." He's like, "You have to take a joke." And he's like, "Well, yeah." But then, he makes a little reference to Spock, and he's like, I know Vulcans can tolerate a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So we go back to the science station where Tuvok is, and Jamer goes, "Well, I didn't know you were on the Excelsior." And he's like, "Yeah, I thought your first post was the Wyoming." And he's like, "Needless to say, I had two careers." And it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." And he's
And
like,
it's weird that that doesn't show up because
"Oh, it
I'm
does
wondering
later
if
on."
it no, but I'm wondering if it's like his career here doesn't show up because he left and because the whole thing
Different
centers
serial
around.
numbers.
Is it?
Yeah, so obviously, I mean that's been the fansplanation that obviously if you resign your
I
commission,
assumed it was just because he was there serving during this thing where something happened
it will
that
be
officially
classified.
didn't happen.
Yeah,
They were like, oh, and he left during that. Therefore, in order to have him leaving during that period, let's just get rid of his whole record.
I
Or,
the explanation would be that because he left for 50 years, obviously things change in half a century. So he
yeah.
would have had a new serial number, new career, and he would have had
Mm,
to. Let's be honest, they would have had to relearn everything because if you look between 2291 when this happens
mm,
and 2341 a fuckload happened. Jean-Luc is born and
yeah.
then becomes a captain in that period, so it's like, yeah, a lot would have happened.
That is a lot of context. That's actually.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, you had two enterprises in that 50 years, so a lot would have, you could sort of appreciate, yeah, shit would have happened, so you would have had to. I mean, I go away for 2 weeks and I need to know how to do my job again. So 50 years, I wouldn't know my login, would you?
Yeah, no, it's a good point, like.
Oh, Tuvok 1. Oh, shit, what's my password? No. So, yeah, I could sort of get that. But so we get Tuvok explaining that, this is before Praxis exploded and the Klingon moon. A lot of undiscovered country references because,
Mm,
spoilers, guys, this is the undiscovered country subplot.
yeah.
Um, we then get a lot of intercut scenes between the undiscovered countries opening and re-recorded scenes, which are
Yeah.
slightly different. There's a shockwave. It absolutely pelts the Excelsior. The beautiful China teacup gets destroyed, which
Mhm.
everyone cried about, and the floor gets stained, which I cried about because I needed to
Yeah.
mop it.
The
The
carpets.
the decking, man. The everyone's flying about. I'm sat with a mop. The So yeah, the Excelsior gets hit by a shockwave. They go, "What the hell happened?" Turn the ship into the wave. They come out and they go, "The shockwave emanated from Praxis, which is a Klingon moon, a major source of resources for the Klingon Empire."
Mm,
Instead of seeing the rest of the opening, we get more exposition from Tuvok where it's like, yeah, we got hit by this shockwave because the Klingon moon exploded. It literally broke in
yeah.
half due to overmining. So we offered assistance to the Klingons, and the Klingons were like, "Nah,
Yeah.
fuck off, internal matter."
Yeah.
So they just they went on their merry way. Except Sulu throughout wants to, because it accelerates forward in this scene, doesn't it? Because it then goes to the part where the Chancellor of the High Council has been assassinated by presumably Kirk and McCoy. They are arrested for the murder, and then Sulu wants to mount a rescue, and Tuvok straps on a pair of cojones at 29 years old and goes, "Ow, Sulu lad."
I think it's great though, because like Tuvok is kind of in the right here in regards to, but it's the fact of Tuvok is the Starfleet from the future, and that's obviously exactly what Janeway points out later, where it's the fact of like where it is more about rules and regulations, and just being like, we shouldn't put an entire crew's worth of people in danger just for the sake of it. And he is right in the capacity of they save themselves anyway. Spoilers if you haven't seen the film.
Spoiler,
like, you know, but it's this idea of like. It's the, it's, I do like it, and I do like, you know, I like that, I like that Rand sort of like goes, oh, I'm so sorry about this, you know, like, oh, I'm so ashamed and whatnot, and Sulu goes, no, it's fine, like, you are totally right, but you're also totally wrong, you know, it's that, and it's that whole thing of going, this is when the rules don't meet the reality.
And it's sort of Sulu educating him that take your nose out of the book, because this is what actually happens in real life. You know, like with any job, you get what you get on paper, and then it's like, okay, this is how you actually do it. And Sulu was sort of doing that to Tuvok. He's like, I know you're young, I know this is your first tour of duty, this is what we do out here in space. When people are in jeopardy, we will put our lives on the line for our family, our crew. And it's sort of like, but then you have to answer, does anyone else in the Excelsior feel the same way? Like,
but this is the thing. It's like it's that whole, we get it a lot. Like we get a lot in stuff where whenever people talk about military, they always, you know, there's always a lot of criticism of where you don't get your own freedom, you don't get your actual choice, and it's the idea of when you go onto a starship, you have to just follow the orders of the captain. And if your captain is horrendously wrong, like we see in the TNG episode with one of my favorite actors, but it's the one where they find the Pegasus.
Admiral, Admiral.
Where it's the idea
another
of
Badmiral.
Another evil admiral. Badmiral. But it's this idea of just going, you are meant to follow your captain blindly and just be like, cool, okay, we're going to risk all of our lives for Captain Kirk and McCoy. Right, okay, great. You know, we're going to fly into the killing. And it's that kind of crazy thing. And obviously Tuvok being like, I think that's a stupid idea.
Well, I mean, they always encourage you at work to ask questions, raise stuff, and he's like, this is what he's done. This is an impromptu work meeting. This is a one-to-one, not offline, but it is a one-to-one. They've had a round robin, and Sulu's like, you're right, but you're also wrong. STFU, I'm going anywhere. And then they hightail it to the Azure Nebula. I love saying that, Azure Nebula. Fun fact, also in Star Trek Online, riddled with Tholians. But they get there, and then they see that the nebula is exactly the same as the nebula that Voyager is currently sat in front of. So then Tuvok starts getting these flashbacks again to the girl on the precipice, trying to hold her, and then he has a seizure in sickbay. So
I just can't believe that they need to re-edit this, but have it as like a Madeleine McCann reference or something. Where it's just like, and just the flashback is literally him on holiday in Portugal. That's what they should do. Your face. Look, I'm just saying that's how it happened, and Tuvok was there.
So anyway, we get back to sickbay.
Moving on.
Oh God, we get back to sickbay.
Hello, chat.
Hello, hi Americans. Don't Google Madeleine McCann.
They know. They love all of the crazy British bullshit. They love the royals. They love I think they care more about the stuff than we do. Like in terms of like, what's the name? The
king.
Princes. Harry and Meghan.
Oh, I don't know.
They
But
care more
anyway,
about them than we do.
we get back to sickbay. The doctor can see that Tuvok's pathways are continuing to degrade, so they need to do something, otherwise the brain damage will be irreversible. Janeway is in a ready room having a coffee while this is all happening, reading about the Excelsior, as you do.
Yeah.
Ensign Kim comes in, basically says,
Can I have a
although...
promotion, please?
Quiet,
Oh.
you! Why don't you bring me tea?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't see 7 kinds of Vulcan tea from you, Harry. You're an
I do love
ensign,
that
Harry.
She's looking on the computer and she's like, "This never happened officially."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and she's just like, oh, "Okay," and it's this learning exercise. And
But Kim's...
I love this scene though. I love it how Janeway's acting very wistfully about how crazy and wild it was. Originally where it was just like,
They
hey,
were all
let's just go
gung-ho.
on dangerous missions.
Yeah.
Like
They were. It was because the original premise was a wagon train to the stars, so they literally were cowboys in space, which is sort of thing. But Kim says that the nebula that they are sat in front of is completely different to what was actually back in 80 years ago, although they look alike to the naked eye, different spectrum, different makeup and everything like that. So then she goes on about, like you said, about the Excelsior and how it would have been back in those days to go on one away mission with them, with phasers blaring and stuff like that. And you sort of like, I could sort of understand that, because if you look, our generation looks back at the day, back in the days of the 70s and 80s and how the rules were different, and maverick cops and stuff like that. And and you can sort of see, look at the rules that we have now. Oh, there's no body cam. Oh, there's no OSHA. There's no this, there's no that. And it's like, health and safety gone mad.
Safety regulations, there's no sort of, and it's this idea, and obviously, but then again, a lot of people probably died back then.
They did. All the bunk beds went flying, but they go back to sickbay, and Tuvok again explains that the Excelsior at the time was ambushed by Klingons in the Azure Nebula, and they were forced to abandon their rescue of Kirk and McCoy.
I mean, I love this scene, the bunkmates one, with like Tuvok, because
that's further on. Yeah,
this is just after it, isn't it?
No, this is slightly before, because they go back to the meld, and then they go back to the bunk scene with Dimitri.
Yeah,
which is what you were going to say. So please discuss.
No, it's not interesting. No, but it's the idea of the bunkmate scene with Dimitri, and just like seeing Tuvok just be a dickhead, like like just a
young dickhead,
and it's this crazy thing, and we're used to Tuvok being so wise, and in this, he has an element of logic, but it's that whole difference between intelligence, logic, and wisdom, and that they're like different things, but it's the idea of his bunkmate and whatnot, and it does look like they're sleeping in their uniforms. And then I realized, no,
I was going to raise this with you.
Pajamas.
I was going to raise this with you. Why? Because they literally were sleeping in their uniforms. Yeah. Now, are they off duty or on call?
I think what it was is basically they've done a long shift and they're just falling asleep in what they're wearing.
That's not a comfortable thing to sleep in.
It's not, but it's this idea, like we're saying about actors, they've probably been on a 20-hour shift because a moon exploded,
Yeah.
But it's this idea of, so I assumed that, but then there's someone in the background who seems to be wearing red pants. I'm not sure if it's maybe a woman. I couldn't make it out.
I
wasn't sure if it was a woman, but it did look like it wasn't the normal uniform. Like it had red up here.
Yeah.
And red there, anyway.
So,
but it's a great scene though, and then obviously we have like
the backstory.
We get this amazing scene from Tuvok and Janeway afterwards, after Dimitri's gone to sleep and Tuvok's just explaining, but also realizing how xenophobic Tuvok
was a shocker for me.
Yeah, and I think it's great though, showing that these characters that we believe to be so clever start off. He literally is just like, I hate humans. Well, not that, but he's basically like, oh, can't believe humans are so illogical and so stupid and so wild and stuff. And and then obviously going on to explain that, that was tempered by the fact that he left Starfleet, and then he got the Ponfar, and then he met his wife, and then by having kids, he realized how important Starfleet was.
Yeah, because
Because
it
he
was.
had something to lose.
Yeah, and then he wanted to expand his knowledge of the galaxy as well. So he
Yeah.
sort of had like a premonition, like not a premonition, a realization that what he was when he was younger is not who he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So
And then it was his parents press ganged him into
yeah,
Starfleet, and then obviously he didn't agree with it then, but then he's actually like, actually, yeah, that is what I wanted to do. I just didn't like being
yeah.
pushed into it.
I also sense a bit of nepotism because obviously his father's on another starship on the Yorktown. So it's
Yeah.
like, right, okay, so maybe there is that bit of nepotism where he's pulled some strings, got him on the Excelsior and stuff like that. And you can sort
I don't know. I think it's maybe the O'Brien Keiko effect,
oh,
which is what I'm thinking, which is basically he's like, oh, I'm married with kids now. Suddenly, I want to be on the other side of the galaxy. Just
oh, you're going to Bajor for 4 months.
oh no,
Yeah.
oh what a shame. I'll just have to play Warhammer with me doctor now.
Yeah, we love Warhammer. But yeah, it was. I do think it was a great scene with a bit of a good bit
Bases
of.
Keiko mention,
I
if you
know,
will.
yeah, a great bit of backstory for Tuvok as well to flesh him out within Voyager. But then it is rudely interrupted by Sulu saying, "All hands on deck, Klingons are
Yeah.
here," and then we see
And who do we get? The
Kang,
third cameo of the day.
Kang from the original series, now with ridges.
Oh,
It's
daddy.
he's ridged for your viewing pleasure. It's oh my, oh god damn it! I keep saying oh my.
Wait, it's a perfect episode to do it. I think
Yeah,
it's the only Voyager episode we get to.
but I mean, did you know because of this episode? Again, a tangent, but I need to say this. Did you know this episode was the call for a spin-off with Hikaru Sulu, Star Trek
Really?
Excelsior. So he wanted. Why am I forgetting Sulu's real name?
George Takei.
George Takei. I am so sorry. I am tired. George Takei.
Oh, Takei, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
he championed an Excelsior spin-off because of this. Because they sort of fleshed out the crew a little bit in this. We had Rand, we had Dimitri.
Yeah.
So it was.
Well,
this
we
was,
didn't have Dimitri for very long.
or did we? And I'll get to that later on. This was the first call for a spin-off by the fans. Sort of
And now
like
we
Star
get them
Trek
every
Legacy.
episode. If season 3 of Picard's anything to go by.
50,000 people have signed that one for Legacy now. That
That's
petition.
amazing.
It's the biggest petition for a Star Trek show ever done. But yeah, so this was a spin-off was talked about quietly over this time period. Obviously, nothing ever material, but we get to see Kang with all these ridges, who I love how Sulu.
I love Kang so much.
I love Kang, but I love how Sulu
love
talks to him.
Because this is the thing, a bit of tea for everyone is the fact of I hadn't watched the original series properly until we started doing this podcast, and then I was like, oh, okay, time to do that research in case it ever kind of comes up, and it will because it's all in the Dabo wheel.
Yeah.
But it's the idea of my only knowledge of Kang was this episode. He's in the films, isn't he?
Nope.
No, he's not.
Nope.
Yeah, this episode and his appearances in DS9, where he's like one of Jadzia's, well, Curzon Dax's like mates.
Yep.
And he's actually a very fun character.
Yeah.
He's a very different character in DS9, and it's a very interesting progression that this character has, but it's just not seeing him here. He's like the Klingon Jeffrey Combs, basically.
But it's really good because we get this great to and from between Kang and Sulu, where Sulu's just like, oh, we've had issues with our navigational sensors. Sorry, we'll be on our way. And it's like, but then you get this very cold, very Star Trek of the 90s, where it's like, we will escort you. Oh, we'll be fine. I insist. Oh, well, I think that's a tremendous idea. And it's like the little cold, you're like, I know what you're going to do. You know what I'm going to do. Let's just get it over with, shall we?
And I love it. And this is the perfect thing. You can see why they wanted a series of this. Because Kang Kang and Sulu bounce off each other really well. It'd be
Takei,
amazing to
yeah,
have Kang as a recurring villain.
Takei would have been. I mean, even if it was like 3 or 4 series, it would have been excellent to carry on the Monster Maroon era because we never got. Everyone loves a Monster Maroon. God help the
Yeah.
costume department constantly making those goddamn uniforms because they
It'll
are.
be good for cosplayers though. They'll be like, wait,
Oh,
there's more of them in existence now.
yeah. So the plan is to detonate the Ceruleum by using a positron beam, which will disable the sensors in the ship so they can hightail it out of there. They obviously do it. So Kang is disabled, and that is the last we see of Kang until DS9.
Yeah, I love that Janeway is just like going. You can tell that she's just like, okay, that's not by the books at all.
That's not a regulation. Okay.
She can see why Tuvok was like, I need to get out of Starfleet. He's
Yeah.
basically saying, I'm gonna hand in my resignation, and he does obviously. But it's the idea of just being like, yeah, I'm trying to do it by the books, and this is not by the books at all.
Yeah. And then after we see the ship being disabled, we go back quickly to sickbay where we can see that the mind meld is starting to deteriorate.
Mm,
And then Tuvok again flashbacks to the girl on the cliff.
yeah.
And then the next scene, obviously Tuvok's mind's deteriorating. They go back to the start of the memories again because Janeway is discovered.
Yeah, that it's so surreal, this whole thing. So basically, like Tuvok's, because it is all Tuvok's memory, but
Yeah.
then basically Janeway gets brought into it, and Sulu notices her and just goes like, "Who are you?" And then they're like, "Okay, let's just hard reset this."
Let's just
And
ignore
then
Sulu as well, by the way. Very rude of Janeway and Tuvok to just be like,
yeah, I quite like though they kind of get away with it a little bit because Sulu's like, "Okay, I have to get back to captaining the ship." And then like,
yeah, shit's
and
on
then
fire,
he does all
yo.
this
Yeah.
stuff, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, arrest them." But those
Yeah, I
people,
like
arrest
that.
them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
He
everything's
does this
falling apart.
little
Nick 'em.
aside while he's
Yeah,
working, but
take it
it's
to the
still
brig
like
that won't be there shortly if I don't get shit sorted. Yeah, it.
that.
But so they go back to the start of the memories, which is still the start of Gamma Shift, and they're like, we're going to have to make you less conspicuous. And they just straight up knock out Rand and nick all of her kegs.
Thanks for coming back, Rand.
Yeah. Happy 30th anniversary. I'll just have those pants, please, if that's
Just
all right.
nick it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do like though that. What is it? Yeah, like Janeway's just like sort of. I don't know why we had to do this. Couldn't we have just asked him? And he's just like, it's gonna. He just points out how awkward the conversation would be. Could I just have your clothes?
You never
It
ask a
really,
woman for her clothes.
yeah.
And it's like, how do you know? How do you know you never asked for clothes?
I do love
Vok.
the maybe in original series she would have
No,
agreed,
Captain, no.
acquiesced.
Yeah. So yeah, so the Doctor tries to program a stimulator to try and terminate the meld to try and get them both out because there is a risk that Janeway can also be brain damaged from this as well. But then they discover that there is a third brainwave
Yeah.
in the scanner, and then it all becomes clear that it's not actually a brainwave; it's a virus mimicking as a
Yeah,
memory
it's not a memory. It's not a memory engram. It's basically something pretending
parasite.
to be a memory engram, which is
Yeah,
a crazy concept. Like, if I'm perfectly
it's
honest.
terrifying. It is incredibly terrifying if that was ever real. That this parasite can create memories
Yeah.
to hide
Not
itself.
memories.
Not memories,
If it was
Kelly.
a
If you're watching,
parasite that created extra memories.
yes. If you're watching, Kelly, not memories. Calm down. But yeah. So they Tuvok replays the memory. Janeway, because obviously we've missed out that Dimitri dies.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
Dimitri died. Yeah.
Dimitri dies. Yes, Dimitri dies.
It's pivotal to the episode. We're like, yeah,
Pivotal to the episode, and also canonically breaking
Is
because
it?
Dimitri is alive at the end of Undiscovered Country.
Is he though?
He is, because there's a
No, could it
scene.
not have been like? Could it not have been Weekend at Bernie's style?
I mean, there's no sunglasses on him, and he's not
Yeah,
held
are
up
there
by
two
string.
people on either side of him holding him up? We're like, maybe they could Star Wars it
Yeah.
and basically like re-edit the film so it's just got him sunglasses two people propping him up, and they're like, "Oh, Dimitri's alive."
to make
Like,
to make something pivotal to an episode which will then completely break the canon of the undiscovered country is a
it's
bold
Doctor
move.
Who's territory.
It's bold move. It's very yeah, it's very Who, but let's see how it plays out. So they replay the memory again.
Mm.
They replay the memory. They basically, Janeway and Tuvok are thinking that this memory is triggered by Dimitri dying, so they need to find out what triggers Dimitri dying. The Doctor and Kess are trying to keep them both alive, trying to isolate this parasite, trying to sever it.
Yeah.
Dimitri dies again. They then see the child fall, and then we get the roll call of diverse kids circa 1996, which on reflection, did we need the roll call of diverse kids in diverse attire?
Yes, I will say yes. We did need the full African
Did we need the Mongolian?
ceremonial garb. We needed the Mongolian.
The
It's
American in the
essential.
baseball outfit?
It- yes.
Ginger Kate Mulgrew that looks nothing like
Oh my
real
God,
Kate
that
Mulgrew.
is the most ludicrous thing. It's like it's not. That's not Kate Mulgrew. That's not Janeway. That's like her from the Disney film Brave. That's who
It
that
is, yeah.
is.
If you had a chance to
Yeah,
change your
that's it.
parasite, would you?
Yeah, just let your friend off a cliff.
Touch my palm. But yeah, so Dimitri dies again, and they realise that it's
So
from.
basically, it has the memory, but it cycles through with the little girl crying Janeway's name,
Yeah.
crying Catherine, and then it goes back to Tuvok, and then it does loads of other names, and we see loads of other faces, and it's this whole scene, but where the Tuvok's character is being replaced in each of them,
Yes.
and yeah, and they're obviously like, oh, this is not a real memory, like this is a fake thing that has
Yeah.
been done many times before.
Yeah, because the Doctor is able to pull them out,
Mm.
and then we realise that this virus, this parasite, this pathogen, whatever you want to call it, has the ability to mimic itself because it feeds on the peptides of the brain, and it mimics a memory engram, so it acts as a repressed memory. So it concocts something so traumatizing to the host that the subconscious buries it, so it sits there and feeds. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so this was passed on by Dimitri. Tuvok had this for 80 goddamn years.
Yeah. All of his delicious peptides get numbed.
And it was only triggered by looking at one blue nebula 80 years later.
Yeah.
That must have been a chunky parasite after 80 years.
Oh, yeah, it's that big.
Thick.
Big
Yeah.
parasite. But
THICC. Parasite.
I do like the idea though of like, isn't this a new creature they discovered and then they just kill it effectively?
Yeah, because it will kill
Yeah, they
them.
just go, hey, it's a new life form. It's dead now.
Yeah,
But
they will kill them. But Tuvok is fine. They've eliminated the parasite out of Tuvok, out of Janeway. And then we get a nice little bit of end exposition about what happened with Kirk and McCoy. Did they get saved? And I'm like, Janeway, you've really not read your history if you're asking if they
yeah.
got saved, because literally Kirk died on the Enterprise B. Did you not read?
It's it's that thing though. It's the idea of maybe as we saw the records are being expunged about Sulu going back, so you wonder how much of undiscovered country is actually in the official logs.
Oh, yeah, good shout.
You
Good
kind
shout.
of just go like, like, oh, did they escape? And it's like maybe the logs don't even say that they were kidnapped. It's that whole crazy
Yeah.
thing of going, whereas we know because we've seen the film, but like Janeway might not actually know. And it's also the idea of, and I like this about Voyager, and I like it about DS9, where it doesn't Kirk is famous, but it's so long ago that people don't really know the details. They'll know the
And
big thing.
classified parts as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they'll know
yeah.
the big battles,
Yeah.
but they won't. It's like us going like, if you asked about sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of someone big and famous like Nikola Tesla or something like that,
Hmm.
and we don't know the details, you know, we know that he existed. We know like you know things that he did or whatever,
Yeah.
but we don't know like all of the little things. Whereas we do because we've seen you know we do know that about Kirk because we've seen the films, we've seen the shows and
Yeah.
stuff. And I like that where it's even Janeway's just like oh you know. Also, I was going to point out in this episode, I love that this episode has Janeway getting involved in the science of things a little
Yes,
bit.
because she is a scientist after all.
Yeah, and it's that different thing where you basically have like all of the different captains are all different disciplines.
Yeah.
You know, with like Janeway being like you know from a science background. I
Yeah.
like that.
Overall, I mean, how can you not love this episode? It was a love
So
letter to 30 years of Star Trek. You had to have
yeah.
Sulu. It was, I think, of all the things to link to link it to the Undiscovered Country, which is arguably one of the best Star Trek films ever made,
Hmm.
is beautiful. It's poignant. Everyone was still of the same age, roughly, because it was only 5 years after the movie as well.
Hmm.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. One of the better Voyager episodes because Voyager does get better. Don't get me wrong, but
Voyager has some great
the
episodes,
early
but like
season was rocky.
my whole all first seasons are bad though. Like
Yeah.
all first seasons are rocky,
Aside from
but it's the
DS9 though.
yeah DS9 has like I said when we had Sean on DS9 has like three crappy episodes maybe, and
Yeah.
then it's just amazing out the gate.
Yeah.
But yeah, but but it's like Janeway. This final scene with Janeway and Tuvok is absolutely amazing,
Yeah.
and Voyager in general. I think it's let down by some of the actors and the way the writers used them. And it's this idea,
Yeah.
whereas this one has the Doctor, it has Janeway, it has Tuvok, and therefore it is a very strong episode. And it's a lot of the ones where it kind of focuses on, you know, like Paris, you know, and stuff. They tend to be the ones where it's like, how have we managed to fit weird Americana into this episode when we're in the middle of the Delta Project?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Unironically going to say I love Voyager. Obviously, I
Hmm.
do. At the time, it was considered the weaker of the three before
Hmm.
Enterprise came out. It was considered the weaker of the TNG
Hmm.
shows. It does redeem itself. It absolutely does redeem itself. What I love about Voyager is how many women it brought into Star Trek and
Yeah.
how many women it inspired because of Janeway, how she acted, B'Elanna
Yeah.
Torres, just how, and Seven of Nine as well, and Kess and
Yeah.
everything like that. But it inspired women, and a lot of like a lot of uh, women who I'm friends with who like Star Trek. A lot of them say, "Yeah, that's good. It's not Voyager." And then one of them, you know, someone who I used to work with, Voyager, although she was not a big Trek fan, she watched Voyager. She didn't watch
Yeah.
anything else, but she watched Voyager, and she said
Yeah.
it was my comfort show, like yours is with Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something that I can put on, and I feel better about myself, but I don't need to know about deep lore of Star Trek. I don't need to know,
Yeah.
oh, well, that's Kang from the original series, season three, and there's. They
Yeah.
can just watch it because it's inspiring for them, it's empowering for them, and I think the lasting legacy of Voyager is that because I mean, it was the 90s. Yes, we were progressive. However, we weren't that
Yeah.
progressive. So this was very inspiring to have a show more or less aimed at women.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with it, but I think it's the idea when we say a show directed at women, I imagine it in a more patronizing way.
Yeah,
And
but more it had a more
you
female
know,
focus. Yeah,
yeah, that's it.
yeah,
I think it's just the idea of they just went like, hey, why can't we have the women doing everything? You know, like
yeah,
the women being sort of because DS9 does have it, like where it's
yeah,
very
yeah.
much,
Kira,
you know, that's it.
but
Whereas TNG is slightly further back with it, where
yeah,
it's just going, you're the doctor, but you're still,
But
like a mum kind of, and
I remember my mother, and when we were watching Voyager, she was like, "Oh, do you not like? Do you not like this?" And I'm like, "Why?" "Oh, well, because it's not Picard and it's a woman and so." And I was like, "I don't care."
hmm?
Like, people of our age wouldn't see that. Like,
Yeah,
I never saw that. As a child, you're not up to certain issues. And for
yeah,
me, I was just like, well, all right, I don't really know much about race, but it doesn't, like, I'm not bothered that he's a different color. I'm not bothered that that's a woman.
yeah.
I enjoy that person. I enjoy that woman. I enjoy it all because it's Star Trek and I like the characters. And it's sort of,
It's like we have in Picard, where I will slag off season 1 and 2 of Picard, and then I'll say I absolutely love season 3. And it's not nostalgia, it's not anything like that. It's literally just good writing. And the
yes,
whole thing about all of the Next Generation series is that the writing is spectacular. Voyager has some amazing writing, as we've just seen in this episode.
yeah,
It has some bad episodes, but then we were literally just talking, the Agony Booth was talking about Profit and Lace. They're talking about
yeah.
Haven Review. No series is safe from bad episodes.
No, of
And
course not.
it's the fact of like, but it doesn't matter about sex or color or anything in Star Trek. That's the joy of Star
That
Trek.
is literally
The
the
joy of Star
message.
Trek is going, oh, like if they did do stereotypes where they went like, oh, I'm a woman, therefore all I care about is women things and things like that. And that's exactly what Janeway isn't.
Yeah.
Janeway is like that, and that's why when she gets the hollow suite, she's kind of like, oh, let's have like,
Let's go
Wuthering
to
Heights.
Fairhaven and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's go to
yeah.
Fairhaven, let's do Wuthering Heights, and I'll just be, like swept off my feet by a handsome man and stuff. But it's the fact of showing that a woman is so much more than that. Like
100%.
that she is able to be like, yeah, cool, but my job is this, and to do this, I will do this. You know, and I think that's the nuance because I think a lot of people in the 90s and even now don't know how to write women. They don't know how to write gay characters. They don't know how to write like racial characters. And you're just going like, this is a I don't know. I think that's why women love this because, like,
Yeah.
Kirky, who we had on a couple of weeks ago, absolutely loved Voyager. I think
Yeah.
I think it's their favorite.
Hmm.
They will have told me many times, but I'm useless. And then Baron LeVay, who we will get on at some point.
Yeah.
How about if we roll another Voyager episode? That's when we'll ask them on the Dabo wheel
Yep.
because
Fingers
because
crossed.
their Voyager is their gateway drug. I think.
Well,
It's amazing.
let's just hold on because I think I am getting an incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
Oh, look at that! The double wheel it actually works, and you can see it. Look at that down there. It's
Oh, it's
absolutely
so beautiful.
beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, darling.
What are we
Right.
hoping for this week? I mean,
Oh
obviously, Code of
God.
Honor. Code of Honor.
Stop. Just
Code of
stop.
Honor. Stop it,
Stop
Ron.
it, Ron.
Stop.
Stop. Oh God. Right. What are we hoping for? What are we
I
hoping
told
for?
you what I'm hoping
No,
for.
seriously, that's not canon. What are we hoping for?
It is canon. Oh yes.
No.
Um,
Leave one of the only
obviously, I
14
do want a
episodes.
DS9. I do want a DS9 episode.
Yes.
You know what would be nuts if we got the DS9 episode? What's a good one?
I tell you what. Think of it this way. Think of it.
The Wire. If we got the Wire
Ooh.
DS9, because then we can talk about
Andrew
one
Robinson.
of our favorite characters.
Yes. Okay. What is relevant to Picard? Because this goddamn wheel
Okay,
right
yeah.
here is pulling everything from Picard. Changelings.
Yeah.
Something to do with a Great Link. Season 3, Episode 1.
I think
DS9.
I'd say it should probably be the double parter where in DS9 where basically Enobran Tain
Yeah.
and the Romulans try to destroy the Founder's whole homeworld.
Ooh.
Because that is referenced in Picard. It is the main focus of why, why Vadik,
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
rebel.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I think that would be a crucial episode if we wrote that.
Oh. Shall I begin the
What is cool
roll.
as well. So let's see what happens.
Okay, I'm going to roll it, guys. So here we go. It's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning. Oh, double!
What have we got?
Well, we will be reviewing Synoiz, Star Trek The Next Generation, Future Imperfect.
Whoa, okay.
Oakley Dorkly, Future Imperfect. I'm going to have a little brief synopsis of this.
Hold on. Future Imperfect. I literally think I just watched this a couple of weeks ago when when we were watching the previous episodes.
Yeah.
And I just went, I'll just keep watching a little bit. I'll just cycle through, and I was just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched this one.
TNG. I need to remind it. Guys, I know I'm a huge Star Trek fan, but there are 880 episodes of Star Trek. I am not Sean Ferrick levels of Oracle. I love you, Sean. I absolutely adore you.
I love when he was talking about his dad, and his dad's just like, calm down. Just calm down.
Future Imperfect.
I still need to message Sean, actually. I haven't reached out to him at all since the podcast.
So the synopsis is, after an aborted mission to an uninhabited planet, Riker awakens in the future with no memory of the past 16 years.
Ooh. Yeah, it's a good one. But I think this breaks the cycle. I don't think this ties into Picard season 3 at all.
Romulans.
You can't just say Romulan. It's in space. There we go.
It's a tie to season 1. That's what I'm gonna. That's the loose thread I'm gonna. Hook this on. Future Imperfect. That will be what we review next week. Or will we? Will we get another guest? We don't know. The rules of Star Trekking are chaotic. There is no order.
But it will be live next week because I've made sure that I have nothing on the Friday.
No, it won't because I've got plans. I'm only joking.
Okay,
I was gonna
say, I was like, no, it's so close.
I'm only joking. No, it will be live next week. We might have a guest on. We never know because we like to play fast and loose with the guests. But
fast and loose is my sex life. That's how I describe it.
Fast and So that is Star Trekking with Nerdy Up North, ladies and gentlemen. We have reviewed season 3, episode 2. Synoiz has completely lost all structure.
How long have we been going? I've totally ruined this.
It's only 1 hour and 28 minutes. We're fine.
We're fine. It felt like
we're not done
longer.
yet. We're not done yet.
What?
We are not done yet.
I'll get me executes out.
Okay. Synoiz. I'm gonna do my back triple.
My egg brethren.
My back triple. Jaffabat. So, right. Let's get this out of the way because there is a ton of stuff happening with me, Synoiz, Nerdy Up North. Like we said at the beginning of the video, you will be watching this on a Friday night. You will be having your nice Chianti or Chateau Picard if you enjoy mild, dry wine. Sunday, Nerdy
Or if he gave it free for Christmas.
Yes, but I'm not a wine expert. This Sunday, Nerdy Up North will be discussing all things Futurama. I will be their lovely guest, and I will also be joined by Nerdy Jesus himself, Jake.
Nerdy Jesus, who talks like this?
Oh, he talks like this. Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
Absolutely.
My name is Jake, and this is how I speak.
Until he gets slightly looser pants, that's how he will always talk.
What if people are like, I know he's on the podcast a lot, but what if people are actually disappointed that he doesn't sound like my terrible impression?
All I will say is we modulate his voice so it's actually at a tone that dogs can't hear it. So he will be on the podcast with me on Friday. Like I said, I am on Spectrum Sanctorum's Agony booth, so please go check it out. I will bob a link in the description below, guys, and while you're there, give them a good subscribe because they are absolutely hilarious and they do support Nerdy Up North. They are an American-Australian channel, so huge shout out to them. While you're liking stuff, why don't you like our friend Sean Ferrick's What Culture and Clone Star podcast series? Obviously, give it a squeeze. Give it a squeeze.
Make sure it's ripe.
Trek Culture is the go-to for all Trek videos. It is the go-to for all the ups and downs of all the episodes. So when you've finished watching our review of Strange New Worlds, you go straight over and you watch theirs, because you should do ours first. Mm-hmm.
You will do ours.
You will do ours first. Yeah.
I'll come over there and it'll be like,
1 month. 1 month to go to season 2 of Strange New Worlds, everyone.
That's 4 more episodes of this until we change the format again.
With a lower
4 more
decks
spins of the Dabbo wheel.
with a lower decks crossover.
Free stick.
Yes, Jumja sticks. I want a Jumja stick. It looks delicious, thick, girthy, and tasty.
Also my sex life. But
okay. So we've also got that going on. I am also on Twitch. Synoiz is also on Twitch. The links are in the description.
I'm going to be streaming later, hopefully.
Yeah, you can.
But not today, because obviously it's Friday.
You can watch the stream back, of course.
You could actually.
Yes, you could. So you can follow Synoiz on Twitch. We also have the Girl Podcast. We have The Velvet Snatch.
Oh, hello. I'm the Velvet Snatch. I just say that so many times. Did like 20 interviews on Sunday, and literally the amount of times I had to do the whole spiel. Yeah. And I kept messing it up, and I was like, let's start again.
Have you got anything else planned?
On Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday that we air the Monsters.
Yes.
I will be
Monday.
on Monsters Up North. Monday. Is it?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Monday,
cool.
7.
This is how weird my world is, where I just can't remember anything. But yeah, basically Monday I will be on Monsters Up North, where we will be doing the Universal film The Wolfman. I will be making this joke in the episode, also known as Night Sex Pest. Which is basically... Because it's a film that has aged wonderfully, but aspects of it have not. So, and I love it, but wow.
Please, guys.
What is it? Hilariously, I'm going to be on the Off the Shelf podcast with Joe.
No way!
Yeah, but the only time I can do it is like middle of June, I think.
Oh, I'm definitely going to plug that. I am really looking forward to that, because I'm really looking forward to you meeting lovely Rick. And just
Ricky baby.
I made him cry.
Lick his little face.
I made him cry. I always make people cry. That's my USP. That's my gimmick. So the lovely Sammy and Monsters Up North will be on Monday. Catch Graham on that. Please, if you haven't seen Sammy's Monsters Up North series, give it a watch, give it a like, share it with all your friends. With everything with Nerdy
Share
Up
it
North.
with people you don't know. Just literally. Put it onto a USB stick, sellotape that to a brick, throw it at someone in the street. When they recover, they're going to be like, "Oh, I'll watch this." People don't work.
I'll just put it in the pocket. Just when you're at the bus stop, just slide it into the pocket. Slide that episode into their pocket, and just lightly kiss them on the cheek as you get onto the bus. That will be absolutely fine. Nerdy Up North, to keep the degenerate theme going.
This is why I'm not the person advertising stuff. I'm not the social media person.
I often whisper to people. But yeah, so Nerdy Up North, we have a wonderful Facebook community which is very quickly blew past 8,000 members of the community, over 13,000 people on the Facebook page. So go and follow us and join us on there. We would love to see you there. Come and say hello. We also have a Twitter page that me and Paul run. We have an Instagram. We have a TikTok. We obviously have the U and the Tube. Have I mentioned Twitch? Yes, we've mentioned Twitch. Yeah. I'm on there with Jake Gaming. A lot of debauchery goes on. A lot of hats are wore. I really shouldn't be wearing so many hats with so many lights around me, because I just melt.
And distracting from the frosted tips.
Distracting from the frosted tips, yes. You can also catch me on Twitter at Goodwill None. Guys, I absolutely love each and every one of you. I love Synoiz to bits. He is the greatest co-host that anyone could ever have. Which
part of me do you love the most?
I love your mustache.
Is it my mustache?
Yeah.
Is it because when I do this, I look a bit like that German guy?
No, he's Austrian. He's Burke.
Was he? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no wonder he was so pissed off.
Well, yeah, but we need to get you a science officer outfit as well. So, guys, if you know where we can find a DS9 era science officer uniform for Synoiz,
Yeah.
please let me know. We need to message Sean Ferrick about that as well to see if we can find one for you.
Well, that's what I was saying. I need to reach out to him, but
Yes.
I haven't made the effort. I'm like,
Reach out.
Although
Touch him.
hilariously,
Touch Sean.
I just touch
Touch the beard. Touch the beard.
This is life. No, we were talking about this the other day. I posted today about a podcast, the girl podcast that we released like 2 months ago, and I'm like, this is the first time that I've been able to sit down and be like, Instagram, right? Time to post about stuff, and it just feels a bit like, oh, the iron is no longer hot. And so, in that kind of way, hey, remember this from 2 months ago? And I'm like, that's not how it's meant to work. But it's very difficult to keep track of for me. But so I'm kind of going, no, I will message Sean before he goes, who are you?
Oh, he can't forget us. But no, guys, thank you so much to everyone who watches these videos. You have no idea. Each and every like, each and every view, it means the world that you guys will sit and listen to us talk about why we love Star Trek so much, and why we are so thankful that Code of Honor has not yet appeared in the Dabble Wheel. So no fingers crossed. No fingers crossed. But guys, this has been Star Trek and Nerdy Up North. We will see you next week. Live long and prosper. We love you to the ends of the earth. Bye-bye.
Miles?